The sun's rays break apart the CFC. The chlorine attaches to one of the oxygen on the ozone, pulls it away, and will attach it to another oxygen. Now that the chlorine's free, it can pull another oxygen away from ozone. And it can continue doing this over and over and over again until there's almost no more ozone in the atmosphere. So this is a danger that we have made ourselves. So it's our job to try and fix it. Well, let's find out a little bit more about what's going on in our atmosphere. Now, we learned the ozone layer is depleted by certain chemicals that we've created. But there's also something else that happens in our atmosphere known as the greenhouse effect. Now, the greenhouse effect is actually something that is very important for the survival of species on Earth. The greenhouse effect is a very natural occurrence. There are certain atmospheric gases that can keep the Earth warm by trapping heat from the sun. So you have carbon dioxide and some other gases hanging out over here, chilling out. They just wait for the sun to send some heat their way. And then they allow the heat to come through to Earth. And at times, they can reflect the heat back down. But there's not so much of them that the heat can't escape back out. So the greenhouse effect allows heat to get absorbed and to keep us warm, but it also allows heat to escape. And that's the important thing to remember about the greenhouse effect, is that it traps some heat, but lets other heat escape. Now, the Earth itself can absorb heat. Just like when you're walking on the beach during a very hot summer day, you step on the sand and, ooh, ow, hot, right? That's because the Earth can absorb heat. But if you step on that same patch of sand at night, it's nice and cool, sometimes even soothing. Hey, I've been known to stand on a nice cool beach myself. But this helps us understand how the Earth can radiate heat back up. So let's see what happens when we increase the amount of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Well, according to this picture, the heat can't escape. If you notice here, some of the heat goes up, some comes back down. But in this one, with the increase of greenhouse gases, the heat goes up, but it doesn't escape. It comes right back down and it stays on Earth. It's kind of like turning on the shower to extremely hot, closing the window, locking the door, and standing in there, you start sweating. It gets really hot, you get thirsty, and the temperature can't seem to cool down. That's what the greenhouse effect can do if we pollute our atmosphere. So the greenhouse effect itself keeps the Earth at a comfortable temperature. But if too much heat gets trapped, it can cause what's known as global warming. Now, the burning of coal, oil, and gas has increased the carbon dioxide count in the atmosphere so much that the Earth can't let any of the heat escape. Everything gets absorbed and it gets extremely hot. Now, what do you think this increase in temperature can do? Well, we know that heat melts ice. And we know that we have icebergs and polar ice caps. So you would assume that the increase in heat will melt those ice caps. And what happens if you melt ice caps? Well, the water levels rise. And what happens if the water levels rise? Well, yeah, you got that one as well. If the water levels rise, then the Earth itself starts to almost drown. Everything starts going underwater. So global warming can cause the entire surface of the Earth to change. And you'll wind up with polar bears who have nowhere to live. This polar bear used to have a huge ice cap to live on, but now it has this one tiny piece of ice. So it's up to us and up to you as the future to try and keep this from happening. So the key words that we discussed were oxygen, which is what we breathe, carbon dioxide, which is what we breathe out, outgassing, which is the gases the volcanoes throw into the atmosphere, photosynthesis, the process that plants go through, respiration, process that humans do, ozone layer, which is found in our stratosphere, the greenhouse effect, which is something that keeps the Earth nice and toasty, radiation, which is what allows the Earth to send heat back up into space, global warming, which traps the heat in the Earth, not releasing it, depletion, which takes away from our ozone layer, and pollution, which causes global warming and depletion. So let's review what we've learned today. At the beginning of Earth, volcanoes erupting throws gas into the atmosphere called outgassing. Oxygen at the time was not one of the gases thrown out. Plants came around and they performed photosynthesis, which created oxygen. Oxygen-breathing species were able to evolve, and the oxygen-carbon dioxide cycle existed so that all species could survive. The chemicals, though, that we as humans create destroy our ozone layer, and the ozone layer protects us from solar radiation. The greenhouse effect traps heat, keeping the Earth warm, but does allow some heat to escape. But the increase in carbon dioxide gas in the atmosphere, because of pollution, causes the heat to stay trapped, causing global warming. Well, this is our review on global warming. And I wish you all good luck, and we'll see you again for another review.